Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mac. Boys and girls, hang on. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. It looks like I'm getting a phone call. Excuse me. This is a little embarrassing. I've not had this happen before. Let me answer this here. Oh, hey, it looks like I'm getting a presidential alert. Well, it looks like I'm glad you're here. Hey, let's all check in to see what the presidential alert looks like. Did I just get rickrolled by the president? That was awesome. Well, of course, we're talking about the wireless emergency alert. Many of you got it. Thanks to all of you who sent me your messages. Greatly appreciated. Very cool to see. There were some out there that weren't too happy about this alert, were they? Some of those on the unhinged left, they were reacting like this. And of course, some of us over here that have been following QAnon, we're reacting like this.
I want a Whopper. I want a Whopper with the extra sauce. Give me them sesame seed buns. I want some pickles. I want cheese on top of cheese. I want fat on top of fat.
That's what I'm saying. Break out with the D-class, the whoppery, cheesy, bacony goodness. Huh. Let's get on the Q post. 23:19, 6 minutes after the hour of 2 p.m. We get this right here regarding the POTUS alert. And like I said, many of you got this already. Shared it with me. Thanks for that. I'm sure a lot of you dug seeing this. Many of you did not get this, but I guess it was only some carriers or whatnot in the U.S. And then Q gives us this Twitter link right here and says, what a wonderful day. Takes us over here to U.S. Attorney Utah. U.S. Attorney Jeff Sessions at the Justice Department thanking Utah police officers for their efforts in reducing violent crime in Utah. And there's the man right there. And let's get a closer look. Oh, wait a minute. Who's that guy with the thumbs up over there? Is that Huber? So yesterday, Sessions and Huber were getting together. Wonder what they were talking about. What were they doing yesterday? What's going to go on the next day? Well, we're going to find out what this wonderful day is going to be all about. 23:20, 27 minutes after the hour of 2 p.m. Q says, Sessions meeting Huber the same day as POTUS alert. Yeah, that is curious, isn't it? Sessions meeting Huber the day prior to... And the link takes you over here. Looks like we've got a subpoena by authority of the House of Representatives of the Congress of the United States to the Honorable Jeff Sessions, Attorney General of the United States. You are hereby commanded to be and appear before the Committee on the Judiciary of the House of Representatives of the United States at the place, date, and time specified below. Looks like October 4th. That would be today. Okay, and this is signed by Bob Goodlatte, the chairman, and the clerk, Karen Haas, here. Now let's take a look at the schedule. In accordance with the attached instructions for responding to Judiciary Committee document requests, you are required to produce the following documents in unredacted form. Number 1, all documents and communications commonly referred to as the McCabe memos, written by former Deputy Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Andrew McCabe, to memorialize discussions, meetings, or correspondence he had with senior government officials, including the President of the United States. Number 2, the Woods file related to the application for and subsequent renewals of a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, order authorizing surveillance on Carter Page. The term Woods files includes, but is not limited to, any document concerning or relating to any attempt to verify the accuracy of any alleged facts stated in the FISA applications for Mr. Page. All documents and communications shared with the Gang of Eight in May 2018 related to the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Ho, 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 it's getting interesting now. Q says, what must be understood prior to? Think grand jury information. Well, that's exactly what needs to be understood prior to. I would assume if Sessions is being subpoenaed, they're going to want some information from him, right? And he's going to need to know the status of Huber, who's been working all this time. Looks like Huber is ready. And a lot of that information that we've wanted to see has not been available, likely because it is grand jury information. So whatever they've done with it, I'm not exactly sure if they're completely finished with everything. I doubt it, considering how many thousands of indictments we have, but it looks like they are ready. It is go time. They're in the green room. Sessions is meeting with Huber. They're about to drop some hammers, and I imagine we'll be getting some of that today. Well, what are the odds of that?
60% of the time, it works every time.
Precisely. Post 2321, 42 minutes after the hour, 3 p.m., we get another FOIA link. Q cues us into page 20 regarding the arrest of Assange by Marty Tory, otherwise known as the Mad Hatter. And I've already cued you in over here. And you can see this is the email regarding Assange arrest. Now, it looks like Marty Tory's email has been blocked out. And I don't see the date on this either. It says, H, being Hillary, been waiting to hear this great news. He must have made your life miserable. I'm assuming they are talking about Assange. Simply a bad guy. So tired of people who try to damage the U.S. while the U.S. does so much for others. Where is the justice and common sense these days? Hope all the current world madness somehow gives you time to prepare for Christmas and enjoy the simple things. Took to pick out Christmas tree last weekend. If there is better stuff than that, I don't know what it is. Anyway, hope the wiki leaker gets what is coming to him. Happy Christmas preps, and being Marty. All right, so we've gone into Marty Tory before. This is a former naval commander. I'm not going to go way into him, but I want to turn you on to my video from September 2nd entitled Who Are the White Rabbits, where you will get a lot of information regarding this man. So the whole Tory family, they're all ship captains. They're related to a lot of shipping ports. They own a lot of shipping companies. They work with a lot of other families that, this whole thing goes so deep. And I'm talking literally from the time you load something onto a ship to the time you get it off and onto the train, onto the people that own the rail stations. And basically all these families control all the different routes from where you can traffic guns, drugs, children, whatever you want to do, you can do this. And Marty Tory was one of these guys that was in one of these big families, especially in regards to shipping. So please watch this video if you want to know more about Marty Tory, because we don't have time to cover him today, but we did do it pretty extensively in this video. But this is the Marty Tory that we're talking about. Now, he's nicknamed the Mad Hatter, and of course Hillary would be Alice. And this is in reference, of course, to child trafficking and in regards to Saudi Arabia. We also talk about that in the video too. But this Marty Tory, although he was retired, he was going around the world essentially introducing Hillary to all sorts of dignitaries and business leaders and whatnot around the world to kind of help them run their trafficking ring. So this is interesting stuff. I was very curious why Q kind of took a little bit of a left turn with this link, and then I realized that Mad Hatter Day is going to be on the 6th. So although we may not see something drop today for you, maybe something will be coming in regards to Saudi Arabia on the 6th. And while I'm on Saudi Arabia, let me bring this up. I want to make a correction from yesterday. It looks like our vote 53-47 was in the Senate, but it was regarding Saudi Arabia. U.S. Senate advances Saudi-guided munitions sale. The U.S. Senate narrowly voted 53-47 along largely partisan lines to approve a $510 million sale of precision-guided munitions to Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. The sale's supporters, largely Republican, said opponents, in seeking to score political points against U.S. President Donald Trump, would strengthen Iran's hand. The vote was framed by critics of the sale as a rebuke of Saudi Arabia's activities in the Yemen civil war. Lawmakers voted down a joint resolution disapproving of the sale. Had it been successful, the vote would have been the first time in decades a congressional body voted to bar a weapons sale to Saudi Arabia. It would have also been a public setback to Trump weeks after he announced a $110 billion arms sale with Riyadh, a key part of his Middle East policy and first overseas trip as president. Okay, well, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about this, to be honest with you. I don't love the situation that's going on in Yemen. I'm not so sure I have all the information on what's going on in there, but I do tend to keep a raised eyebrow in regards to this as well as the sale. But it does look like, considering all the different, trade wars that are going on right now with China, this might be a way to sell some things. So I'm not really sure. You can let me know what you think about this, down below. But it looks to me like this is our 53-47 vote. Let's move on. Post 2322, 32 minutes after the hour, 4 p.m. Q takes us back to the September 20th post, and this is a YouTube link, and it's an interview with Joe DeGenova, and I'm going to play that for you in a second. Q is asking us to look at 13 minutes in, 35 seconds. Q says, did James Baker just testify behind closed doors? Rod Rosenstein and James Comey coordinated to appoint Mueller? What a wonderful day Q. Well, first, let's take a look at that video.
As I've been saying for 2 years, there was a brazen plot to illegally exonerate Hillary Clinton in the email case, and then if she lost, to frame Donald Trump. And that is exactly what these texts are about. Whether or not Mr. Strzok and Lisa Page and others are indicted is certainly a question people can debate. But let me just say, I know that there is a grand jury underway. Testimony is being taken about Strzok, Page, McCabe, and others involved in this case, and the reason we know it is that James Baker, the former general counsel of the FBI, has turned state's evidence and is fully cooperating with the Inspector General and with the federal grand jury. I can assure you, Mr. Comey has been very silent in recent weeks, and the reason is very simple. He knows he's going to be indicted.
All right, so we already kind of knew this already back on the 20th that he had testified to the IG. It looks like he testified behind closed doors yesterday also. And regarding Rod Rosenstein and James Comey coordinating to appoint Mueller. Well, why would they do that? Why would they want Mueller to head this up? Is he a white hat? Is he a black hat? Is he a gray hat? Q says, what a wonderful day. Now, this is what I think Q is talking about. Q has referenced this before. Let me take you back to this post, 1504, and this is from back on June 15th. Access kills, Gmail drafts. Q says, what came out in the IG report? Well, James Comey's Gmail and all their drafts did, right? They had all of them. Reread drops regarding private emails regarding convicting Hillary Rodham Clinton equals convicting themselves. Remember, if she goes down, everybody goes down, and they had everything on her due to these Gmails. Well, how did they get these Gmails? Why did the entire Hussein admin use private emails? Because they didn't want everything to go through the normal process. Otherwise, there would be a record of all their illegal activities, right? So enter Eric Schmidt. ES is key. He was the one who set them up servers. He was trying to set them up a server in North Korea. I wouldn't be surprised if they had servers out there in China. He was setting up all these remote servers so that they could skirt the NSA and all of that. Well, at some point, I tend to think that ES flipped. That was probably sometime when the Q team visited the Google campus. And that is what the wonderful day I think that Q is referring to, basically reminding us that they've got it all. So in regards to this James Baker did have to testify because he was one of our leakers and he was one of the prime suspects because of that. Also remember that James Baker was working on the case. If you remember the Apple encrypted phone case, he was all wrapped up in that. So of course he would have known what was in those communications, right? So were they conspiring to make sure that Mueller got on this case? Was this a Rod Rowe troll, or was this genuinely, did they think that Mueller was going to be the guy to bring Trump down? You can let me know what you think, but it looks like they've got it all. Now let's talk about that a little bit more in the next post. 2323 Q adds on. James Baker, closed door testimony today, plus previous, remember I just said he had already previously, this is what Joe DeGenova was talking about, previously to the IG, that's Horowitz. Grand jury statements, sealed, timed regarding Sessions subpoena tomorrow. Yeah, perfect timing. He gives his statement, and I'm sure his is going to be one of the most damning. His and probably Bruce and Nellie Orr's. They really were high up. They knew everything that was going on. So they're timing this with the unsealing of some of these indictments likely. Well, if Sessions is recused from Russia probe, prevented receiving of related docs, info, etc., how can Sessions learn Rod Rowe's conflicts regarding the Russia probe? Now, prevented reception of related docs, info, etc. is in these sort of kill brackets, so I wonder if that means that that's no longer going to be the case. It looks like Sessions is going to get information into this Russia probe. Well, how can you do that? How can you legally inject evidence? Well, you do it with a subpoena to Sessions. Sessions now has been subpoenaed. That's going to be tomorrow. Schedule 1, McCabe memos, and it takes us back to this. This link is basically just that subpoena that we looked at for Sessions. Well, the McCabe memos equal the source doc for the New York Times article, and this New York Times article was regarding Rod Rosenstein wearing a wire, and then basically talking about invoking the 25th Amendment to impeach the president. Q says, enjoy the show. So they could have been caught red-handed, conspiring. Could have been that McCabe and Comey were throwing Rod Rosenstein under the bus, or could Rod Rowe have been trolling them the whole time and getting them to say that in order to use that material as the source docs for these McCabe memos and be able to legally inject this evidence so that Sessions would be allowed to do what he needed to do. Remember, Mueller, a day before this all began, met with Trump. What was he reconciling? Rod Rosenstein also has some reconciling to do. If you'll remember, he was paid in full, according to a couple posts back. He was paid in full. So has Rod Rosenstein flipped? Has he done his job? Was this part of it? Was this whole thing about wearing a wire to set up McCabe and Comey? You can let me know, but either way, it is some grand theater, and Q says enjoy the show. Let's move on for now. Post 2324, 7 minutes after the hour of 5 p.m., 1707. 17! Q takes us back to September 3rd, which takes us even further back to another post, May 17th, where Q says, what is the common theme when bad news is about to break against them? Stay vigilant, Q. Well, I think most of us know, but if you are new to QAnon, when bad news is about to break against them, things happen. Fires break out, explosions break out, shootings, car crashes, plane crashes, all sorts of strange train derailments, suicides, all sorts of hijinks ensue. Q says tensions flaring. And then it takes us to this Fox News link right here. Capitol Hill tensions flare over Kavanaugh as protesters confront lawmakers. The atmosphere on Capitol Hill turned especially tense Wednesday amid mounting protests from demonstrators in the halls of Congress as lawmakers await the release of the FBI's report on its Brett Kavanaugh background investigation and prepare to vote on his polarizing nomination to the Supreme Court. The supercharged environment on Capitol Hill led Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on Wednesday to decry the harassment of senators during a speech on the Senate floor. One of our colleagues and his family were effectively run out of a restaurant in recent days, McConnell said. Another reported having protesters physically block his car door. And some have seen organized far-left protesters camp out at their homes. An increased police presence was visible Wednesday as officers were seen protecting Republican senators who were coming and going from their offices. Maine Senator Susan Collins, a crucial undecided vote on Kavanaugh's nomination, was seen being escorted to votes by a Capitol Police detail as protesters and journalists rushed the lawmaker. Hundreds of protesters have gathered in the Russell Rotunda basement to confront senators. Protesters have also approached Republican senators at other locations, like on Monday, when videos surfaced of demonstrators badgering McConnell at Ronald Reagan National Airport. That comes days after left-wing protesters, upset over Arizona Republican Senator Jeff Flake's decision to support Kavanaugh, confronted the sullen-looking lawmaker as he tried to get into an elevator last week. Now, just on a side note, I would like to say that I can't help but think that was staged. It seemed like CNN was just hovering right there. Hours later, Flake called for a new limited FBI investigation, effectively delaying plans to vote on Kavanaugh's nomination. Okay, so everyone's getting really, really tempted to go crazy, right? Everyone's going knocking futz over this whole thing. They know what's going to drop the bomb. They know what the schedule is. They know how this goes down. They know that Kavanaugh gets put in place, the D-class drops, Rod Rowe goes, and everybody's on a slow boat to Cuba, right? And while they're pretending to be like this
is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
Meanwhile, they're really acting more like this.
No, God!
Well, the link takes you to Breaking 911 on Twitter. 5 officers shot, active shooter. 3 Florence County deputies and 2 Florence City police officers have been shot in active shooter situation in the Vintage Place subdivision off of Hoffmeyer Road in West Florence, South Carolina. And that, of course, is Senator Lindsey Graham's neck of the woods. Seems to me like the deep state is sending a clear message to Lindsey Graham that you have now betrayed us. We've already had a couple plane crashes over there, and now we've got this shooting situation. Now, they haven't released yet much about this shooter. Not that I love to make these knuckleheads famous. Probably another MK Ultra lone crazy wacko that they sent. But this is terrible because we did lose somebody here. And it was this Terrence Caraway here, Florence police officer. And here's a picture of him down here. Handsome dude. Just absolutely heartbreaking. This is from Meg Kennard's Twitter. Update: City of Florence spokesman John Wukela tells me that Terrence Caraway is the officer who died from his injuries. He had just received his 30-plus year service pin from his department. My goodness, bless your heart. So my thoughts and prayers go out to his family. I have no idea what his family situation was. Handsome dude, like I said, and it just breaks my heart that guys like this who are doing everything to keep us safe have to deal with knuckleheads like this just simply because of the tolerant left. And this is the tolerant left these days, guys. And we all know this. So they are going absolutely ballistic now, knowing that the Whopper with cheese is about to drop on them any day. And this has been looming over their heads for quite a while. And it just seems to bring the knuckleheads out of the woodwork, doesn't it? Absolutely heartbreaking. Let's move on. Post 23:25, 29 minutes after the hour of 9 p.m. Q ads on. Gives us this Fox News link right here. It says, read carefully. Sessions tomorrow, doc related. Justice K confirmation weekend. Rod Rowe next week. Probe, not update. Follow the pattern. Red October Q. Well, the link takes us here to Fox News. Top FBI lawyer Baker offers explosive testimony on abnormal handling of Russia probe into Trump campaign. Former top FBI lawyer James Baker gave explosive closed-door testimony on Wednesday, detailing for congressional investigators how the Russia probe was handled in an abnormal fashion, reflecting political bias, according to two Republican lawmakers present for the deposition. Some of the things that were shared were explosive in nature, Representative Mark Meadows told Fox News. This witness confirmed that things were done in an abnormal fashion that's extremely troubling. Meadows claimed the abnormal handling of the probe into alleged coordination between Russian officials and the Trump presidential campaign was a reflection of inherent bias that seemed to be evident in certain circles. The FBI agent who opened the Russia case, Peter Strzok, FBI lawyer Lisa Page, and others sent politically charged texts and have since left the bureau. Now let me take you down here. Baker, who had a closely working relationship with former FBI Director James Comey, left the bureau earlier this year. The lawmakers would not provide many specifics about the private transcribed interview, citing a confidentiality agreement with Baker and his attorneys. However, they indicated in broad terms that Baker was cooperative and forthcoming about the genesis of the Russia case in 2016 and about the surveillance warrant application for Trump campaign aide Carter Page in 2016. During that time, the FBI was DOJ and FBI were putting together the FISA surveillance warrant during the time prior to the election. There was another source giving information directly to the FBI, which we found the source to be pretty explosive, said Representative Jacketless Jim Jordan out of Ohio. Meadows and Jordan would not elaborate on the source or answer questions about whether the source was a reporter. They did stress that the source who provided information to the FBI's Russia case was not previously known to congressional investigators. Baker is at the heart of surveillance abuse allegations, and his deposition lays the groundwork for next week's planned closed-door interview with Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Baker, as the FBI's top lawyer, helped secure the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant on Page, as well as 3 subsequent renewals. Prior to the deposition, Republican investigators said they believed Baker could explain why information about the British ex-spy behind a salacious Trump-related dossier, Christopher Steele, and Steele's apparent bias, against then candidate Trump were withheld from the FISA court, and whether other exculpatory information was known to Rosenstein when he signed the final FISA renewal for Page in June 2017. Fox News asked Baker after the deposition about the handling of the Trump dossier, what he told Rosenstein about exculpatory evidence, and whether he is the subject of an FBI leak investigation. Baker told Fox News he could not answer such questions. Rod Rosenstein is now expected on Capitol Hill on October 11th for what Republican House sources have described as a closed-door interview, not a briefing to leadership. It comes after the New York Times reported last month that he discussed secretly recording the president and removing him from office using the 25th Amendment. Rosenstein's planned in-person meeting with Trump has been pushed off amid speculation he might be fired or resign. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders told reporter Wednesday that the meeting remains in limbo. If there's a meeting, we'll let you know, she said, but at this point, they continue to work together and both show up every day and do their jobs. A Justice Department official said Rosenstein agreed to meet with the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Bob Goodlatte, but offered no details on the format of that meeting. White House reporter Jennifer Epstein on Twitter yesterday reported cameras caught Rod Rosenstein arriving at the White House around 9:38 and leaving about an hour later. So it looks like Rosenstein is now going to have to do some talking himself. So Q is basically laying out a schedule. It looks like Sessions tomorrow, doc related. Yeah, I suppose Sessions needed to meet with Hubert yesterday to make sure that everything was cool, so that when this subpoena comes and they get these documents, these memos and all that, that everything is going to be okay in regards to grand jury information, and that they're not releasing anything that is still being used for these grand juries. After that, looks like by the weekend, we're going to get our Justice Kavanaugh confirmation. And then next week on the 11th, Rod Roe will start this probe. Now, it looks like they're not just necessarily talking. It sounds like they're actually going to be grilling Rod Rosenstein. Q says, follow the pattern, red October. Q. Post 23:26, 29 minutes after the hour of 10 p.m. Q takes us back to September 11th. Panic, panic, panic in D.C. James Baker testifying against Comey. And I don't remember seeing this title back then. Maybe I did. Maybe it was more pertinent to September, but I just wanted to point out that this is P2710. My first thought was maybe this was in regards to an upcoming document, maybe page 271 of something. I'm not really sure, but I just wanted to point that out. Q says, it takes time to reach the public domain. It sure does. Why were the McCabe memos released to the New York Times regarding Rod Roe wearing a wire? Yeah, why were they talking about? Why were they conspiring to have Rod Roe wear a wire? Well, it would seem to me to serve a couple purposes. I suppose they could actually, A, catch Trump saying something, and then, of course, they could always kind of leak that, oh, my God, I got caught. I was wearing a wire. Oh, no, you're probably going to have to fire me now, and then basically bait POTUS into firing Rod Roe. Maybe that was the insurance. Well, they definitely saw this D-class and the POTUS as a threat. And Trump didn't buy on it, right? He kept him going. Remember, Rod Roe is the bus driver and the wheels are coming off. And when this all blows up, Rod Roe's got to be holding that wheel, right? What did they think was about to drop? What they thought the D-class was about to drop. And we thought the D-class was about to drop, remember?
What I'm supposed to do? Ain't nobody else got the whopper back.
Yes. Did the delay and smear tactics used by Democrats regarding Justice Kavanaugh help Republicans regarding public support, endorsement regarding confirmation in November 6th election? Yeah, I'm starting to wonder here if, one of Rod Rosenstein's paid in full actions, if you will, was to help Jeff Flake reconcile and call for this extra investigation. Now, if you're the deep state, at first they were like, yeah, we want an investigation. Come on, we need to be good at it. And then the president was like, okay. And then they were like, no, we didn't really mean it. We didn't think you were going to do what we wanted. And the president was like, no, we'll go ahead and do it. Why not? Deep state's like, no, we were just kidding. God, you're so terrible. We hate you. You do everything that we don't want you to do. And President Trump's like, I know. So this ended up drumming up a lot of public support. People saw this. And people thought it was despicable. Now, of course, there's a lot of, presidents getting a lot of flack for sort of making fun of Ford's testimony and whatever. But I think really the bigger deal is a lot of people walked away from the Democratic Party during this week. And so even though we didn't get the Whopper with cheese that we were hoping for, that threat has done more than actually dropping it at times. It's allowed these guys to expose themselves. And it showed that we had some leakers. And this showed once again in this Sheila, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, the one who was handing that envelope to Ford's lawyer. She ended up having this intern, and his name was, let me go over to my Twitter. I've got it over here. Yeah, doxing senators. And this guy's name was Jackson Costco. How about that? Works for Sheila Jackson. He's unpaid. I guess if they paid him, then they'd be shopping at Costco, huh? Yeah, so ended up doxing all these Republican senators that were sort of on the fence regarding this Kavanaugh confirmation. Not good. And as more information like that comes out, more and more people are walking away from the Democratic Party just saying, man, I'm sick of the drama. So once again, did select Democrats expose themselves? Yes, most certainly. Feinstein did. Jackson did regarding leaks, release of confidential personal info. And I think right here what Q is saying, basically C leads to D, leads to E, leads to F. And could F be Miss Feinstein? Well, she was probably leaking too. She's kind of been heading up this whole Ford thing, right? Ford seems to be her girl. She seems to be sort of her, I don't want to say handler, but she's definitely seems to be in charge of this whole situation, right? Q says, if you know your opponent's moves, well, then I assume you're a step ahead. Red October. Exactly. Well played. It seems that delay did a couple different things. It allowed more voters to decide that they were going to vote Republican in the November primaries. And I think by way of Rosenstein talking with Flake, probably bought them a little bit more time to convince more people to vote for Kavanaugh. Well played indeed. All right, let's move on to 23-27. 23 minutes after the hour of 11. And Anon posts this from Paul Sperry. Breaking, the U.S. Senate has unanimously passed Senate Resolution 610, calling for the declassification and release of tens of thousands of pages of documents relating to Saudi Arabia and the terrorist attacks of 9/11. And the Anon says, holy, you know what, it keeps coming. And here is the link right here. Q says, sponsor, not what you think. Well, we're not going to spend much time on this because this smells of poo. And here it is right here, the Senate Resolution 610. A resolution urging the release of information regarding the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks upon the United States. Oh, look at the sponsor right there. Senator Bloomin' Onionthal out of Connecticut. Oh, my goodness. All right. So, look, number one, information coming out about September 11th, as much as I would love to see that come out, I really doubt it's ever going to come out of a Senate resolution, especially one led by Senator Blumenthal. All right. This guy is as creepy as it gets. He belongs in a Harry Potter movie, right? So I'm not buying it. This looks like a way to stall. This looks like a way to release a whole bunch of papers that everyone's going to have to spend the week going through. And all it is a stall tactic. And it's probably going to end up in a whole bunch of nothing. And that's probably why they all voted for it. Or at least as Paul Sperry said, unanimously passed. So, yeah, I'm not buying it. Q seems to affirm that. Sponsor, not what you think. Q. Let's move on to 23-28. 29 minutes after the hour of 11. We get this right here. Do it, Q. Honored at the U, Q. We are at the ready, and the Anon morale is very, very high. Let's do this.
Do it. Do it.
Q says, united we stand, strong together. And responds to the second Anon here, saying, we are honored. Anons are selfless, nameless, faceless, fameless, and fearless. We are grateful, Q. Yeah, indeed. And we are grateful. Thank you very much, Q. We're all starting to see it really come together. This is really turning out to be an exciting week. I am definitely jazzed. Those are your Q posts. Let me get to a couple more things before I let you go. Thank you to Kizats Hadarak, I hope I'm saying that name right, who sent me this today from the Department of Homeland Security. Check this out. This is Alert TA18-276B, Advanced Persistent Threat Activity Exploiting Managed Service Providers. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but let me just read part of the overview. The National Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Center is aware of ongoing APT actor activity attempting to infiltrate the networks of global managed service providers, MSPs. Since May 2016, APT actors have used various tactics, techniques, and procedures for the purposes of cyber espionage and intellectual property theft. APT actors have targeted victims in several U.S. critical infrastructure sectors, including information technology, energy, healthcare, and public health, communications, and critical manufacturing. Well, there's a lot of abbreviations here. This technical alert, TA, provides information and guidance to assist MSP, customer network, and system administrators with the detection of malicious activity on their networks and systems and the mitigation of associated risks. This TA includes an overview of TTPs used by APT actors in MSP network environments, recommended mitigation techniques, and information on reporting incidents. Now, let me just take you down here to the impact section. A successful network intrusion can have severe impacts to the affected organization, particularly if the compromise becomes public. Possible impacts include temporary or permanent loss of sensitive or proprietary information, disruption to regular operations, financial losses to resource systems and files, and potential harm to the organization's reputation. So this is pretty interesting, and I'll leave this here for you down below. Thank you so much for sending this to me. I do get on the Department of Homeland Security almost daily, but I did not see this today. So this is great. But anyway, this is pretty interesting stuff. I would not be surprised if we start seeing a lot of different things things go down. We've already seen it with planes, trains, and automobiles. Don't be surprised if you see them on the phones and the computers and the websites and the web pages. That's why we've all prepared, and that's why we all have backup channels and different platforms that we use too. And finally, I posted this yesterday on my Twitter, breaking 911. William Clyde Allen III of Logan, Utah, was taken into custody by the FBI. He is suspected of mailing seeds used to make ricin to President Trump and the Pentagon. And yesterday, I believe I was pronouncing that ricin. Thank you to the hundreds of you who corrected me. I've never heard that word before, ricin. I remember the anthrax. I don't remember the ricin. All right, well, I rescind my ricin. And now I'll be nice and say ricin. So this guy, William Clyde Allen III from Utah. How funny that he's from Utah, huh? And I don't know much about this guy, but I am glad that they caught him, and I'm glad that they're taking him off the streets, and we'll see what happens to this guy. We'll probably never hear from him again. That's the sad thing, but hopefully he will get his just desserts. All right, that's all I got for you today, kids. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who share my videos. If you're new to my channel, please keep in mind that you will be unsubscribed and unnotified from time to time. I find it amazing. I still get hundreds and hundreds of emails and tweets. Patrick, I'm getting unsubscribed and unnotified. Why is that? Because you don't listen to the end of my videos where I explain it every time. You're getting unsubscribed because we're at war. That's why. I love you. Keep subscribing, checking back. Susan Wojcicki hates you. That's why she doesn't get any cake. All right, speaking of cake, we're coming up on 50,000 subscribers. I can smell something baking. Let's get those videos spread out and get this message spread out and get more QAnonymers. All right, my links are down below. Gab, BitChute, Real.Video. My Twitter here is at IPOT1776. If I may say so myself, I'm a great follow. I'm kind of pumping myself up a little bit too hard, but you got to do that these days. I'm a great follow at IPOT1776. My email, my Patreon links, all that down below if you want to support my channel. And that's all I got for you today. All right, kids, keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe. Enjoy your day. This should be an explosive day. Let's hope so. And hopefully we'll have some fun things to talk about tomorrow. All right, this is Sir Patrick Mack. And until next time, stay focused.